My computer's not running.
This is the October 9th City Council Finance Subcommittee meeting.
We're going to do retirement board first.
If we could start with
I will try to have
minutes.
some kind of minutes by the next meeting because I hit delete on my computer.
Okay,
So
so
now I have to check this computer to see if there's anything left up there.
minutes.
It's terrible. It says, do you want to recover this file? No. What do you mean, no? I said no. No, I didn't want to do it. Of course, I don't know how to get it back. It's gone.
Mayor's communication. I'll turn that over to the finance director if she has any.
You didn't give me any.
He didn't give you any direction? Or?
No, just.
You probably had a long day.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy. Sure.
Public speak. Anyone here?
I'm a public.
New business, we have none. Continuing business, just as an aside, if we go to number 2, which is the supplemental appropriation for CPA funding, the committee voted in favor of that to send it to the committee. I just left it on the agenda because the public hearing is until the next meeting, so unless either counselor has any other additional comments on this, we can move on to another item. Any comments?
So,
I don't have any additional comments.
We'll move on. If we could do continuing the
I did
business.
get the email forwarded to me from Jim Gracia.
And that he did look at it was viable. It was a viable project.
Right, yeah. I just want to say that.
Number 3 under continuing business, request for retirement board to accept amended section 101, chapter 32. This was discussed at the last meeting, and the administrator Tina Schneider was here, and while we had very little in the way of any negatives, I think it might have been Councilor Cobb, I don't want to put it on him, wanted to leave it open in case there was any additional questions or to firm up any contribution or amount that the city would be expending, if anything. I know...
As I recall, Tina, I asked about this, that this is like two people.
The update to that would be that they are currently receiving around $9,800 a year. So now the increase to it would be probably around $2,100 to $2,200.
So that'll be part of the accrual,
But
the actuarial study for as long as they live, but it's so small.
It's not going to...
compared to the overall, and it's not, I believe that you told me that this is not a population that's growing.
Right.
These two people, they'll never,
I think
ever be
Tina
another
mentioned
person that
possibly
qualifies.
once.
There's one person that could possibly reap from this benefit if indeed he is deceased prior to his wife. And they're both alive at this point, so who knows?
And so this is not any impact on current budgeting at all?
Well, current, no, it might be on a future actuarial, but the point is that it's so small that
It wouldn't.
Because that 2,200 is spread over time.
it's spread over the life expectancy
of the
of these people, and then that payment is then, so it's the 2,200 for the life expectancy of these people, for whatever that might be, but it will go, if they die.
Well, forever.
Right. So, and then, but then, it's not, they're, like she said, there's one other person that could, in the future, may qualify for this, and it's not a continuing benefit. Is that a?
Yeah, once these three people are deceased, it's nobody else will qualify.
Nobody, because
for it.
people had the option to take a spouse now, currently.
After 1994.
These are the people that was not an option. If they retired under a disability, they couldn't take a spouse sole
Correct.
option. Correct? Did I read?
Yes.
I did. Anything else, Councilor Cobb?
I've read what I wanted to read on the legislation. I have no further comments or discussion.
Hearing that, I'll accept a motion unless...
I'll move to accept the change in the retirement amended section 101 of chapter 32.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So what we'll do, Tina, is that I've already set a public hearing on this, so again, if no one can come, I hope Melissa will be there if there's any questions, because Melissa does sit on that board, that she can address the counselors. If for some reason counselors have some concerns that's going to postpone it, we would continue the public hearing until we got the answers from you, because I know you're going to be on vacation. Assuming there's none from the other counselors or ones that Melissa can answer, then hopefully it will move through the council next full meeting, a week from today.
All right, great.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Our final continuing business is an interdepartmental transfer, $24,000 to provide electric, fuel, and heating costs at the Parsons Street School. I know Melissa was on vacation last week, or 2 weeks ago, and the mayor wasn't able to attend. We did have some discussion, and I know I did, as a result of that discussion, get a little more information from the school department, which I provided you a sheet. But I guess I'd open it up to Melissa first. Melissa, was this list your creation or the school department's creation?
I didn't provide anything for this.
Okay, so that must have been, what was questioned by myself and the other counselors, I'm sorry, is why they were grouped. You get what I'm saying? Like under December 1, we'll just use December 1. There's 3 groupings of 2000, 2004, and 1400. In other words, that was kind of a concern of the counselors why they were grouped like that. I did go to the superintendent, and the school department was very cooperative. She got me right in touch with Andy Paquette, who wasn't working till the next day. I told him I would send him an email with some of our questions, which I have his responses.
With they separate bills?
Yes, he sent a update, which I provided to the counselors. And he actually provided all the actual invoice payments, Dan and Justin, which I didn't make a copy of because I figured it was just a little bit redundant.
The original information we got doesn't match up.
It does not match up here, because I'll tell you why. Apparently, first of all, if you go onto the new sheet, down, where you see December 13th, okay,
1901
1901.
for Cerner Heating.
Right, that one was actually it's in here, the proper invoice. He put it in the wrong order. It's actually February
13th, 1901-48.
Right, it's the third, but the one that's 11013, 272702. You see that one? Mm-hmm. That one is not included. Was not included on the original sheet, which is added to the our figure. Mm-hmm. And the 1313, which on here would be 314, is 1358.19. You see which one I mean? Mm-hmm. That one on the original sheet is actually listed as 1231.39. So they were two.
Correct. But this
right.
is correct.
This one is correct because we have all the invoices. So actually, their total they spent was 2598 rather than the 23.1.
Why? It's 27. Oh,
27 includes the, and there is also a very mild discrepancy on the electric, but
$20.
Yes, I said that was a mild discrepancy.
So we're looking at $3,000 more. What do we do?
Well, I guess that's one thing. I guess I would
I believe the
see the
mayor
two
just
He went with this figure, and this is the actual figure. So
that he actually provided the actual invoices from Cerner.
If I might, assuming this is a yearly bill, 24 grand, which will be for fiscal year.
It's not a bill, it's utilities.
I mean a yearly
It's an estimate.
Estimate, and it's from.
No.
I didn't mean to say bill. Estimate from July 1 to July 1. If we get rid of the building in the meantime, then the 24,000 should be more than enough to cover heating if we don't.
So you're saying if we get rid of it in February or March?
If fuel prices double, we're going to come back for a supplemental
more too.
appropriation.
There you go.
Or if they dropped in half.
So I don't think there's any reason to amend the appropriation at all. Let's wait and see what happens.
Okay. No, I just wanted to give you because the school department was kind enough to.
The rest of the city council should have this.
Oh, yes, I will provide a copy of that to the citizens. My other question, or the other question that came up, I won't say it's my question, is where, and I asked it to Andy, and I'll ask it, I don't know if I'm asking this exactly right. I think you know what I'm saying. In other words, where's the $24,000 from last year?
They're not gonna give it back.
So,
It's
In other
part of
words,
their
they didn't
their-
budget it, they didn't request funds.
They did, it is part of their $15 million or whatever appropriation that they got,
we
that they
voted on.
spend however they see fit.
So if I can understand the legality of this, as soon as they declare the building surplus and give it to the city to get rid of, they no longer have to budget keeping utilities paid. Is that a correct statement? That's their
It's no longer,
assumption?
that's no longer their responsibility, and they have one appropriation to move around
As they
however
should.
they see fit.
I understand that, but my point is, if it was their building, they'd have to heat it. But when did this building be declared surplus?
May, I believe, before the fiscal
Before
year.
the fiscal year began. So I understand where they are. It's not my building anymore, so I'm not going to budget the money for it. So it's our responsibility, ours, the city side of the government's responsibility to.
Right, unless,
So
and I
when we
guess,
approved the funds, that wasn't in part of our discussion about the budget in May.
Well, I don't know.
Because we could have made a cut, well, I know it wasn't. We could have made a cut or done something.
Well, I think the mayor probably thought to get rid of it faster, he wouldn't need to have the money in.
It's all speculation. The fact is,
Not speculation.
you know, they knew it was surplus, so school, and the idea is the school declared it surplus. The city had not declared it surplus, just the school did at that time. And then we
That's right.
went through the budget, and that was one of those things that was just never discussed.
Once the school, and I'm asking legally, and I think you might know this, once the school declares something surplus, it's officially off their rolls, right?
I think
Do we have to accept it?
I think we asked them to declare.
I was gonna say, I think it was something the mayor wanted them to
Right.
do.
As soon as we do that, then it's not under their obligation to fund the heat.
Right,
So,
and therefore, when we
therefore-
sell the building, it is not the school department who maintains the sale of property, it is the city.
Exactly.
So they no longer want to put money in it.
Well, right, and I see their point on that. So I understand why it's not in the budget. Maybe we didn't know about it, maybe we didn't understand at the time. But I now understand why it's not in their budget, because once it was declared surplus,
Well-
before the fiscal year began, they took the money, moved it someplace else. We didn't, the mayor didn't see fit to cut
They didn't have
their
the money.
budget 24,000,
They
did he?
didn't have the money at that point. They had the money when we approved.
In June.
In June.
Right.
That's when they had the money. So
But
we
my-
gave them the extra money, and they,
We didn't, the mayor approved the budget.
We
If
approved the budget.
I know, but the mayor set up the budget. If he, and he increased it a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find where that 24,000 is, but if he didn't put it in there, or if he put it in there, he didn't tell us. I mean, all I'm saying, it's kind
They
of
asked for
semantic.
way more than what
We
they
gave,
got.
right, so,
So
I,
they'll tell you it's part of the part that you cut, or that the mayor cut.
whatever.
You know what I mean?
I'm not blaming, you know, my bottom line is, I'm not blaming the schools about this. This is not a school.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I guess I address a little of what Justin's saying. In other words, did we know about it prior to the budget being approved? And if we did, why wasn't 27,000 more removed for the school? I mean, they did make out, and again, I'm a big supporter of schools, so this is not this is just a thing of transparency. In other words, they did make out
Do you
with
have
an
their
addition.
budget?
Yes, one right here. They appropriated the same amount in 14 as 13.
That page, is that the page?
That's the page out of their budget.
Yeah, and so they're just gonna move that.
And he's gonna move it. I went to Andy, and as Dan asked me to talk to the superintendent, and I, in an email, I said, he sent me, he said, you want the invoice? I said, the invoice would be very helpful. And I said, also, in clarifying the reduction of the heating and electric accounts, does this mean that the fuel amount was turned back to the city budget or to the school department budget? And he came back and said, the reduction, I'm not sure what you mean, but then he did basically say what you said, we reduced the accounts in the school budget to reduce the amount of cuts we would have to make. So that tells me they just took that money and put it somewhere else. Which,
Given that they got a major cut anyway, they didn't get their override.
Well, as long as it's-
quibble about 24 grand.
right. Well, I think it's just a transparency issue that I'm trying to bring up, or maybe I think Councilor Cobb is also trying to bring up, but
I don't think anybody tried to hide anything, if that's what you said.
I never said that in any way.
My only point is, I think that this is
I'm
something.
not saying there's any malice behind any of this. What I'm saying is there are very professional people that are working this through, and that's where the transparency comes in. We do ask to, so to say, move to a higher standard, and I don't think this was as disclosed as it could have been. Personally, if they disclosed it and said that if the building is surplus, we're going to move this money to help offset our cuts, I would have been completely okay
I believe
with
if you look at their whole budget, there's a large amount that they
It's really.
they budget that is not general fund monies. And so, and some of that is their school choice money.
Yeah.
And their school choice money is something that they like to keep as much as they can for. So, anything that we, as a city, don't fund them on their request, they seek other funding for. And so this stuff moves around, honestly, often and quite a bit, because they just have to make it work. And you vote one line for them, or two.
Right, we only
They-
vote a
and
big,
they-
Yeah, we
big
both
figure.
bought lines, yeah.
And they move it any way that.
And they
Yeah.
move all sorts of money around to cover staffing and deal with,
Doesn't
small
the school board have to approve inter-department transfers, intra-department transfers that
I've
they
never
might do?
been to
Is that
a
in your
school
budget?
committee finance.
That came out of the school budget that they provided to us at the hearing.
I'm saying that the school board has oversight over this, so they
Absolutely.
may know everything about it, and they're elected too, so.
No, I'm not,
mean,
again, I'm like Councilor Cobb, I'm not in any way implying anyone did anything.
And also,
I guess,
there is a requirement to fund them a certain amount towards education, so.
and this isn't a fair question for Melissa, it's really a question for the mayor, but I guess when did he know he was going to surplus the building? I don't think he woke up one day in May and said, I'm going to ask the school department to surplus the building, and I guess there seems like there was time to think this thing through, and it doesn't seem to have gotten thought through. I guess that's my
The
question.
requests for the budgets start in December.
But you didn't hear what I said. I don't think he came up with this idea in May. I mean, I'm sure he had it on his radar. Maybe he didn't. I guess I'd have to ask him. I can't, if he's not here, you can't ask him. So,
By
The
May, the
semantics to me,
budget.
the semantics to me of this is that, now seeing this, I do recognize this. And the idea is, okay, included in this, to me, is this amount, or near this amount, because it's an estimate. Okay? But there was an intent, we may have decided this in December, but we got a pretty good report out by a number of people from the school department when we went through our budget review. There was no mention of surplusing Parsons Street School, even though I think all of us knew that sooner or later it was on the horizon. So, I don't care that,
But that
that they
budget-
moved the money anywhere. What I
But
care
that
about.
budget that they gave you is for their original request,
Mm-hmm.
which is far greater than what they received. So that budget.
I'm not justifying what I'm.
It doesn't reconcile at all. It's not even close to reconciling with what you approved.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that at all. What I'm looking at is the, I was gonna say the disclosure and the transparency when they give us their report. It's a little disturbing to me that it appears that they knew things were going to happen in a certain way, and we sat down and talked to them, and I have to take part of the blame on this, is that I didn't ask those questions. And I feel like my kindness was taken a little advantage of. I would have not questioned the fact that if they disclosed it saying, if the school is going to be surplus, we're going to move this money somewhere else, I'd have let that go. That's not the issue here, where they want to put it. But that's my,
see, I take a little different tack on it. And I think, and again, I'm not going to say something that I won't say when I see the mayor or the mayor addresses it himself, but I think the mayor, he came out in the paper and made a big point politically of saying that we have to now come up, if we don't sell that building, he was putting pressure on the property committee, if we do not sell that building, we have to pay $23,000 for heat. Perfectly logical, perfectly right. But it's not 100% transparent because nobody said that, in fact, it was heated by the school department and they didn't take a $23,000 cut in their budget. You get what I'm saying? It's not really...
They took a far greater.
No, but you know what I'm saying. On the Parsons Street, that wasn't part of their budget. Nobody mentioned Parsons Street being closed. Melissa, be honest about it. Nobody mentioned Parsons Street being closed.
But that budget.
I know they were cut $400,000 from what they requested and what the mayor gave them.
Right.
Right. But it still doesn't, we heated Parsons Street School for 111 years. It's not like in May, when we took over, suddenly we had to come up with another $24,000 here to heat Parsons Street School. Somebody figured that in, whether the school department held
And
it.
ask them to move the money. I don't think they will.
Well, they don't own the building.
I'm not necessarily asking them to the...
Right. It's the city's building. And I think this just fell through the cracks. I think the mayor probably, as you develop budgets, I know this is the fact, he probably said, let's see if we can get by without funding money for this school. Because we're going to have it on surplus, it's going to be our responsibility, maybe I can get the council to sell it before we spend too much money on heat. And the majority of this money is heat, which starts November, December. He was hoping, when he did the budget, that he could get rid of it. Now he realizes that it may not happen, he better ask for money for it. I really think that's all that happened. I don't think it's the... I agree with Melissa, they cut $400,000 out of their budget, $24,000 wasn't in there. They lost 400. I know what you're saying in the sense of transparency, but I don't think there was any, to me, it's not...
malicious.
Huh?
Never said it was malicious.
Oh, I know that, but it's still, when you make an error that's non-malicious, I'm not sure there was an error made as much as the mayor knew that this was going to come up. And as soon as he knew that it was going to take a while to get rid of it through the property committee or whatever, he decided to put the money in there. So I don't have a problem with his process on this. Perhaps if he said, you guys would be more comfortable if he said at the budget meetings, and it is him, it's not the school. We own that building now, I'm going to have to heat it, I'm hoping I don't have to fund it. If he said that at the budget meetings we had, then you guys would be okay, because you knew it might come down the road.
Correct.
And that's what I think you're talking about. But I don't give anything on this to the schools. They knew they were gonna, and although that budget is the same, they move money, as Melissa says, all around all the time if they have to. And it's an estimate, utility estimate.
Well, no, I'm not, I'm just trying to get to why, and I guess it bothers me because we are the oversight of the budget, why we never really knew this before.
Well, and I said, if we should have been told by the mayor he was hoping this would happen. And maybe, but I don't even think he thought of it at the time. I don't know, maybe he did, but I can't speak for him, he's not here, so.
And I think there was a slight error made in the decision to try to not fund it, because even if it's a non-used building, because it's
pinching pennies all over the place.
it's got to be
I
sprinkled,
agree.
it's got to be heated, at least.
I'm not in any way saying we shouldn't heat it or we shouldn't fund heating it. I'm just talking about the process.
No, should, in process,
I do have one question.
it's something we could remember though, when these things come up. They come up so rarely.
I do have one question for Melissa. There are two different electric companies.
The
I could-
Trans-Canada one and the,
Western-
there's Western Mass Electric, and TransCanada is a contract we signed. I believe it's 3 years old. I don't believe we're going to renew. It's a prepaid negotiated price that we've done well on in the past. This last contract, we did not. We didn't beat our prepaid price, like when you prepay for your oil. It's the same sort of idea, except you're locking into a fixed price for a period of time, and I believe there was some kind of
I
adjustment.
don't understand why we're getting double invoices.
If I can,
Okay.
what Andy told me, and I think which is what Melissa's going at, is Western Mass Electric, it's like your own home electric bill. Western Mass Electric provides the service, but you can actually buy the electricity you can buy it from Western Mass, you can buy it from Dominion.
There's a service charge and there's a delivery
Right,
charge.
and I think that's what this breaks down.
Okay.
One is the
That work?
service, who's Western Mass is providing service, but it sounds from Melissa, we have a contract
If you look
with
at your bill, you can
Trans-American
see
to
the two
actually
different
provide the
bills.
electricity.
Correct.
And that's why it's
Yeah.
broken down, because Western Mass gets so much, Trans-America gets so, so I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I guess what I did have one and I don't know if you know this offhand, Melissa, but on the actual request, again, could you hand it?
Certainly, ma'am.
I looked up these particular account numbers, and like the $1,000 the mayor's asking for power, which is, I believe, the electricity part, we have $108,000 currently budgeted, so that's less than 1% of the total of that account. The heat fuel budget, we have $67,000 already appropriated. I was wondering what other buildings we heat with oil. That was kind of my just about a general
Well, I
question.
believe we're going to do, I don't know which buildings are oil and gas, to be honest with you.
That's what I didn't know either. That's kind of...
What buildings we heat would be the Council on Aging, this building, 32, and I believe,
And the public safety.
Public
building.
safety.
well, that's what I mean, 32 pays in, 50 and 32 pays in.
I didn't know that was their address.
That's
And
probably good.
I'm not sure, because I don't, Karen does the building operations bills here, and it's, I'm not sure if we heat any portion of Old Town Hall.
So would this,
We must.
the heat fuel...
Well, I don't know if they pay the heat or if we pay the heat, the leaser pays the heat.
Oh, that might be true.
I'm just not sure, I would have to check that.
So the heat fuel would not only just be oil, could be gas too, I mean, depending
Oh,
on
that budget covers all
both types of heating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so power is the electric, and it may be that they're asking for less than the electric because of the savings with the solar credits that they are trying to move around to sort of offset some costs.
I guess I'm inclined to, and again, I obviously would defer to the committee, because there was three of us. I feel comfortable setting a public hearing for this at the next meeting, but I would like to leave it open for the next subcommittee meeting, because there will be one more subcommittee meeting, because I know...
Well, we haven't set a public hearing, so you'll set a public hearing next council meeting.
Right, and then, but leave this open, because we'll have one more subcommittee meeting, and then if the members have any other questions of the mayor or of the school department, we will have time to address them before the public hearing. But I don't want to hold the thing up, because as you said, Dan, the first deliveries start in like November, so
Yeah.
that's coming. Not that they don't have a
They
little
have a
money,
budget,
not that they
just
don't
gonna
have
need
some
more.
money in there,
Eventually, they're gonna need more.
but I mean, we've kind of had lucked out so far this fall, but one of these days, the weather's going to turn on us. So again, if, that would be my recommendation to the committee, but certainly I'll entertain a
So
different...
if you have, when you do your report out, you might want to mention that there is one more opportunity for any counselors, anybody has any questions.
Right, of this, how it is. And then, as I said, but I do think we should set the public hearing at the next meeting so that it will flow the first meeting.
And I have to say, it's in the city's, it's in the taxpayers' best interest, it's in the budget's best interest to get this building out there. It's not, I don't know what the holdup is in our property, but we ought to get it on the market, because we are heating it. I mean, there's due diligence involved, but, I mean, come on, it's been a couple months, so.
Well, I
I'm kind of
know,
hoping we can get rid of it before winter, or so we don't spend as much as 24%.
I know they were trying to get I don't know if they were trying to get a viewing or...
That's coming up.
Is that?
Yeah, that's what.
I know I got it on my sheet somewhere, but I mean, have it right here.
I want to say it's like in the teens.
October 16th, Monday, 3:30 tour, if the planner can make it. So I don't know if they ever got the planner or the...
So should I move this? Move that we...
We'll move that for a public hearing, and we'll leave the item open for one more subcommittee meeting,
It's just the 16th.
which is the 16th. Today is the 9th, so 7 is the 16th is the meeting. I will set the public hearing, and then the 23rd, we will leave it open, and if there's any further questions, I'll mention it to the other counselors if they have any input. If anyone...
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, anything else, Melissa?
Okay.
We're good.
I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
What is that, 6:30? Okay, we'll read it.
And Dan's doing